Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to take this video to talk about the fact that 2025 is gearing up to be probably one of the best years for sim racing on console. The amount of games that we're going to be getting or potentially getting is really astounding, I gotta say. I don't know what's happened. I don't know if there's been a shift or something, but it looks like 2025 is going to be a very good year for sim racing in particular. Um, so I have several games that I want to talk about that's going to be coming to console probably in 2025. Maybe not all of these will be coming next year. But before we start that, let me just say that there is one game in here that is not a sim. It is an arcade game, but it is very worth mentioning because it's just such a fun game. They have just announced that they are going to be releasing Wreckfest 2. They don't have a date on it yet. I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed Wreckfest. It was such a fun game. So to know that we're going to get a Wreckfest 2 really has me curious. I'm just really curious as to what improvements they've made and what this game has and what it's going to be like on console. But we're here to talk about sim racing, so let's hop right into it. So the first game that we're going to talk about is Assetto Corsa Evo. Now, oddly enough, this game is coming out for PC sometime before the end of this year, 2024. So I would assume it's going to hit consoles probably somewhere in 2025. They have a third-party developer that ports their games over to console, so I would be very surprised if we see Assetto Corsa Evo on consoles before 2025. I'm not going to say it won't happen, but I'm not going to hold my breath on it. Now, oddly enough, this game is the game we know the least about, and it's coming out this year. So far, what we know is that it's going to have photorealistic graphics. They're not using Unreal Engine anymore. They're using their own proprietary engine, and they're saying photorealistic graphics. If you guys have seen any of the stills or anything like that from the game, it looks absolutely stunning, and I think it will definitely take GT7 here and give it a run for its money on the graphics department. Now, of course, they have laser scanned tracks in that game. They didn't really get into specifics about physics, but they did mention something about aerodynamics and mechanical stuff like that about the car. They really didn't get too much into that though, so it's going to be interesting to watch this one. We know Assetto Corsa, the first one, the physics were really good. The game itself on console wasn't that great, and even on PC, Assetto Corsa, the modding community is what really makes that game. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that game. Again, it's going to have multi-class, just like the first Assetto Corsa did. So it'll be interesting to actually see what's going to happen with that. So the next game I want to talk about, and oddly enough, guys, this is one that I'm really excited about. This is NASCAR 25. Okay, so this is from iRacing and Monster Games. iRacing acquired Monster Games like last year, so I want to say. And this year, iRacing got the NASCAR license back from Motorsports Games, who we all know what happened there. If you don't, I'm not going to get into that, but look it up. It's pretty crazy. So iRacing has decided to make its first real racing game for console. And when I say real racing game, they did make a dirt game for console that everybody who played it, who likes dirt racing, said it was really good. I just feel like that particular style of racing isn't that popular. So this is the first actual, like, tarmac tracks, like, real racing for console that they're making, and they have made some huge claims about this game, guys. So basically, they said everything a NASCAR fan has ever wanted in a game is going to be in this game. I think that's a very huge claim to make, but time will tell. It says it's going to have a good single-player career mode, multiplayer online races, experienced developers spanning the years of all the NASCAR games, including the team from Papyrus. iRacing is handling the physics and the tracks and cars, while Monster is going to handle the actual game modes, like the single player, the career mode, and stuff like that. So very interesting to see what comes of this game. And this is probably the one that let's see here. Yeah, probably one of the ones that I'm most excited about, actually. Having a really good NASCAR game is going to be really fun. Like, I've been enjoying NASCAR Heat 5 a lot, so I'm really excited to see a better game in NASCAR with better physics. And this is going to be on Unreal Engine 5, so I don't know. I know that on the Unreal Engine, things like racing games with physics and stuff like that doesn't usually work out that well. Now, on WRC, that's running on Unreal 4, but I guess what Codemasters did was they imported the physics in the handling model from Dirt 2.0 into the Unreal Engine somehow. So maybe iRacing will do the same. But like I said, they said that they will be handling the physics and the tracks and stuff like that. And the interesting thing is, they said that with the tracks and everything, Monster Games somehow they have it where they can just kind of copy and paste them right in to the Unreal Engine. So that's going to be very interesting because this game is supposed to come out by the end of next year, the fall of 2025. And like I said, iRacing just got the NASCAR license back earlier this year. So I don't know how long they've been working on this game, but it should be very interesting. So another interesting game that we can talk about is the Project Motor Racing. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to be released in 2025 or not, but I am putting it on here anyway. This is from the guy that created Project Cars 1 and 2, Ian Bell. I have no idea if he has his own development company. I don't know who's going to be developing or publishing the game, but he's working on it. It's going to have realistic physics, an in-depth single player. It's going to have iRacing inspired online racing. It's supposed to have VR support at launch. Whether that's going to be PSVR 2, I have no idea. Again, this sounds very ambitious, the things he talks about. Just talking about how important it is to have a really good single player kind of career mode in a racing game, that they're going to do that. The physics, they want to get the physics nailed. They've been working with, I believe, the Stig from, I don't know which show he's from. I'm sorry, I don't know much about the British stuff. But, and he was saying that the one thing that irritates him most about sim racing games is how difficult it is to drive in the rain. He said in real life, it's difficult, but it's not as difficult as they make it seem in games. And they're really working to try to get everything as kind of realistic as possible. So that's another exciting one to look out for. Another one that we have is the Endurance Motorsport series, and again, this does not have a date, guys. So I don't know if this is going to be out next year or the year after that or not. But I want to put it up here because it is a sim racing title that is going to be out on console. And this is the Endurance Motorsport series, and this is going to be interesting because it says experience the role of not only the driver, but also as a race engineer in the pits. It's going to have multi-class endurance racing, hypercars, LMP2, and GT. The publisher is Nacon, and the developer is Clioton. I don't know much about them. Apparently, they've done some of the older WRC games, so this is going to be interesting. Again, this is going to be on the more sim side, and they said that there's going to be like more of a not just driving, but kind of a managerial approach to it as well. There's going to be a lot of things you're going to have to factor in. The endurance racing, I feel, is going to be a very interesting addition to console. And when we're talking about endurance racing, LeMans Ultimate. LeMans Ultimate is on PC right now, and Studio 397 are the developers behind that. And they had talked about bringing the game to console ever since the beginning. But just recently, they talked about how they're going to accelerate the production of that. They really want to get things moving along. It's in early access right now on PC. It won't be coming to console until early access is done on PC, but they did say that they are working harder. They've accelerated the development of it to get it on PC, console, because they want to have it across a much broader player base, which is pretty interesting. Now, personally, I think Le Mans Ultimate drives better than Assetto Corsa Competizione, and I actually love ACC, guys. You know that, but Le Mans Ultimate, yeah, it drives better. I feel if they can get the game how it is on PC over the console, I think that's going to be fantastic. My only concern with that is on my PC, I have an SSD, and one of the biggest complaints with LeMans Ultimate is just how slow the load times are, even on an SSD. I mean, we're talking like PS4, PS3 load times with this game, so I feel like they really need to get that sorted out before they ever think about putting that on console. But yeah, that's another one. It's similar to GT7 in a way, in the fact that they have like daily races, weekly races. They have stuff like that. So it'll be very interesting to see how that works out. Those are the games, guys. Those are the games that we can look forward to. Now we have a different issue because it seems like for whatever reason that sim racing is trying to get more of a foothold on console, and that's a fantastic thing. I think a lot of people that are on console would love more sim racing titles to play. The issue now is the fact that Fnatic is going bankrupt, or their parent company Endor has pretty much filed for bankruptcy, Chapter 13. Now, however you feel about Fnatic is besides the point. Okay, Fnatic is the only company that offers like higher end sim racing gear for Sony. Yeah, there's Thrustmaster and there's Logitech, but in my opinion, they don't really compare to the quality and options of Fnatic. I mean, Fnatic has a ton of different wheels. They have different bases. That new direct drive base that they had, that's like what, 15 newton meters for the PlayStation. That's fantastic. So I don't know. I feel like something has to change. I feel like something has to change with Sony. Sony, they need to just get on the ball more and stop being such a money hungry company and let these peripheral companies put their peripherals on their system, right? I mean, these games are getting more popular, and we have less and less options for like sim racing for wheels and stuff like that. I would absolutely love to see Moza get a license for Sony. I think it would be huge. Um, Let Fnatic keep their license, right? Give us more options. Open up your USB ports to anything or anybody. You know what I mean? Like literally, and this is just how I feel. Console is never going to beat PC with all the restrictions that are on console right now, and that's a big problem. Um, Mods, I mean, with mods are nice, but on console we've survived this long without having them, so I'm not gonna say that's the biggest deal. But not having your USBs unlocked so we can use different kinds of peripherals for the games is just really ridiculous. And there's there's no scenario in my mind that I can think of where unlocking those ports would hurt Sony. It would only help them because you would have more people buying consoles because they're cheaper than a PC, and they could get whatever wheel or whatever peripheral that they wanted to play their games without having to worry about it. So the only thing I can think of is that Sony would be losing out money, but honestly, how much money are they losing out? Right? I mean, I would love to see somewhere where there's a report of how many uh, Sony Fanatec branded wheels are actually sold and how much Sony actually makes off them. I can't sit here and imagine that Sony is making a huge profit off of their partnership with or their license with the Fanatic wheels, because it's like we're still a minority in the player base on console. Like, not everybody that has a PS5 has a wheel. Not everybody that's playing on console is interested in racing games or driving sims. So if you're not interested in those types of games, of course you're not going to spend, you know, 500 up to over $1,000 for a wheel. So honestly, how much can Sony really be making off of the profits of them selling Fanatic wheels with the Sony branding on them? I don't know. I just can't imagine it's all that much. But I feel like if we're going to get more sim games on console, then we need to have a little bit more options in the way of wheels, because I feel like if we get more into sim, more people are going to want to buy wheels for their consoles. I could be wrong, but that's just my take on it, guys. That's my take. So I think we're going to end this video now. I would love to know in the comments what you think. Are you excited about all these new sim games coming to console? What are your thoughts about the wheel? Do you play on wheel? Do you plan on getting a wheel if you don't have a wheel? And I'm sure I'm not going to ask you if you'd like more options. Obviously, we would all like more options. But yeah, you know what? Just feel free to let me know in the comments. We can start a discussion in there. I'd love to know you guys' thoughts as well on the whole topic of sim racing and you know the wheels, the whole bit, man. I just think that it's going to be an exciting next couple of years. I really do. I'm just so excited to see more sim titles, actual sim titles, come to console. On top of the regular, more arcade or simcade type racing titles that we have as well. One more thing to note: iRacing does have the IndyCar license as well, and the iRacing president, he said that there's no short-term plans to create like an indie game, but nothing is off the table. So I kind of feel that with this NASCAR 25, it would be a good jumping point for them to just kind of see what it's like, feel it out, see what it's like to be in the console market. And if that game does really good, who knows? Maybe they will work on an indie title, down the road. And I would love to see that come to console as well. All right, guys. So I thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we will see you next time.